And we're live. I had to throw that video up. Hello and welcome to another Kind Kids Live, where we're staying in our lane and sharing our knowledge from our own experiences, our own point of views, through thoughtful conversations, and of course, number one, keeping the conversations kind. So I'm that Kimberly, and before I introduce my this Friday's guest, Veronica, say hello. I'm going to remind everyone that we are, our goal here is to share with the audience information that's relating to social media, marketing, employee culture, operations, you name it, our experience in whatever our industries are. And we are going live from the Facebook, as my boyfriend likes to say, and the LinkedIn, my personal LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. So please leave a comment, a question, wherever you're watching from, and also hit that subscribe, like, or follow button, depending on where you're watching from, right? We'll definitely get back to any questions that may be asked during the broadcast for sure. So. And if you're watching on the replay, make sure you let us know where you're watching. And I don't know if there was a certain answer or question that really resonated with you. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to let Miss Veronica introduce herself and let us know where she's, give us some context.
Sure. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I was a little nervous this morning, and then I just told myself, oh, I'm just having a conversation with my friend.
There we go.
And it'll be, broadcast to the whole world, right? So, but anyway, so I have known Kim since around 2002 when I was working at the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber.
When you were in your young 20s.
I was a baby working there. I started working there when I was 18, and I think by the time you came around, I was about 22, 23, somewhere around there.
I want to say 21. I want to say that I feel like there might have been a birthday 21 celebration. I don't know.
Maybe
it might have been foggy, but
yeah, right. So, but yeah, I'm again Veronica Moreno. I currently work for University of Dallas as the Associate Director of Development, and I actually recently started with them. I've only been there about a month and a half. Cool. Prior to that, I was with Cafe Momentum for 1 year, and then I was with Ursuline Academy of Dallas for 7 years.
Nonprofit world, yeah.
Nonprofit, yeah. So starting with the Hispanic Chamber, and I did work at a law firm for about 6 years, and then, just decided I wanted to go back into the nonprofit world, and here I am. So I tell everybody that I learned what I wanted to be when I grow up, finally, once I joined Ursuline, because it was there that I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this is what I want to do. I want to do development. I want to do fundraising. This is what I'm going to stick to and make a career out of it. So, but yeah, born and raised.
You do a great job.
Thank you. But yeah, so born and raised in Dallas. I've been here all my life. And, I think that there are a couple of other places where I would like to live, but my family is here. And now my niece and nephews are in my life. And so I can't leave them. It's hard. It's hard. So I think I'm here for a good while.
You're not going anywhere, right?
No, I'm not.
Traveling.
Yes, that's it.
Well, I know the feeling about what you want to be when you grow up. I never thought that I wanted to ever be live on, on camera to broadcast, as you say, to the whole world. It's really not just to social media land, but, and I never even imagined, putting my foot into the nonprofit world, and that could be a whole other podcast, whole other live interview another day. But yeah, so we will jump into our questions, and we're going to use our pinwheel as you've seen before, and don't be nervous because it's not as painstaking as some people think. And this actually is a little bit more modern. It makes it a little bit easier than, my old ways of doing things. So with that said, the first question is around sales. So, have you, because you are in, the nonprofit world, it is a sales pitch, if you will, and I hate to use that, but, how have you changed your approach during this time?
Yes. So I have a funny story about sales.
Okay.
So, but I'll get to that after answering your question. So the approach has changed. I mean, as we all know, 2020 is just a year of pivoting and figuring out how we are going to continue to do the things that we were doing before in a different
Mhm.
light, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think one of my biggest tools in my tool belt as a fundraiser
Mhm.
is the powerful handshake, you know, the introduction, the art
Mhm.
of sitting across from somebody and building that relationship with them at that point. And we can't do that anymore.
Mhm.
And so, you know, in my current job, I have, you know, I have goals that I have to meet, and I have to be talking to a certain number of people every month. And if it's a phone call or if it's a Zoom, well, that is valued higher than, you know, an email, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I've had to get comfortable with having those conversations that I would normally have in person, because
Mhm.
I'm way better in person. But I've had to get
Aw.
comfortable having those conversations via Zoom or via, you know,
Mhm.
whatever the platform is. And they have too. And so I think a lot of people are hesitant to get on yet another video call.
Yeah.
And so I've had to, you know, just adjust and try to continue to build that relationship over a
Mhm.
phone call.
Yeah.
Which is a lot different than obviously being with somebody in person. So,
Absolutely. Well, it's the year of 2020 is the year of growth.
yes.
And I would like to give you more credit than you're putting out there, because I think that anybody that's in sales is, they always think that we're better in person than over the phone, but you do have a very bubbly voice. I feel like we connected so well when my office was at the Hispanic Chamber when you worked there, that, you know, because we were so bubbly, right? Like you are a bubblier you do speak more than you used to text, because I know you were just into texting back in the day. But you have grown into
Yes.
a beautiful young woman. You're what are you now, in your early late 30s? What is the
I
what is
have a birthday coming up,
you
actually.
okay? Wow,
I'm going to be 40 on November
wow,
17th.
that's
So,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
can't believe it.
Well, you definitely adjusting to those things and being able to pivot and grow now in this time is huge for everyone. Like if you're even like saying that out loud, that, you know, good for you, because it is something, you know, it's harder, right, to connect with people in general.
Right.
But if you can get them on a Zoom, or you can get them on, you know, get them on the phone
Even
is
a phone call,
yeah,
even a phone
absolutely.
call. Right before I jumped on this call, I checked my voicemail. I was like, "Oh, somebody called and they actually left a message. Let me see who it is." And it was a donor
Uh-huh.
who was calling me back because I had emailed him. And it's like,
Oh,
it's such a win when you get a response, right?
yeah,
It's like whether
absolutely.
they call you back or they email you back, it's like, "Yay, I have a meeting. Great." You just have to get that first in, and
Yeah.
then, you know, start working to build that relationship with them. So,
Well, do you feel like even with your, you know, networking, you know, because you do have so many relationships over the years of the different places that you have worked at, you know, have you, would you say that that has been helpful during this time as well?
absolutely. And I think that that is the key to so many different aspects of our life. I think that, you know, I like structure and I like to keep on going. So this has,
Yeah,
like we've kind of touched on, has just been a year of complete uncertainty in so many, at so many different levels. And so I have just had to create things that I know, okay, well, I know I can do this. What can I control,
yeah,
right? I know
yeah,
I can do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to just work towards meeting those goals with the help of my network. And so I
yeah,
have really leaned on former colleagues and my mentors of like, well, how do I do this? Because, you know, I just got a new job during COVID.
yeah,
So I went through a
yeah,
job search during this time. And I think that that even was totally new, right? Because everything, like nothing was in person.
yeah,
So everything was via, you know, Zoom or whatever other platform that was there. Google Meet, I think I did one of them. There was actually even a um, one of the steps in one of the processes with an employer. I didn't end up going there, but you had to download this app and then you had to answer questions on screen and you could practice on your phone, but it was all on your phone. And so I think
wow,
that it was nerve wracking, but
uh-huh.
you know, I did it and then I got to the next step there. So it's like, okay, check, next, you know?
So you're learning as you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But
Well,
yes, the network that I have has just been unmatched. And I recently went through obtaining a credential. It's called the Certified Fundraising Executive Credential. And so then I built even a bigger network. So I started relying on other members of this industry and have made friends and new colleagues and new mentors through this process.
Well, I do feel like, because we've stayed connected, thanks to social media and just randomly, a phone call, text here and there, it definitely has. You and I both know the power of not just the networking, but keeping those relationships over the years. Obviously, if from business to personal, and then when they we definitely became more a personal relationship after after I got my big office and was no longer, it got self-funded, during the startup days, that no longer being at the chamber, we just stayed connected, right? And it's when you are connected with somebody, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have an ulterior motive when you just say, hey, happy birthday, or hey, thinking about you, I saw this, or you run into them. And there's a lot of that I feel now with people in sales, especially if they have that skill set like you have, then you're able to, still connect with people and then still just build on your network. So, good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to ask our next question. My little pinwheel of technology.
I love it. It's fun. I feel like I'm about to win a big prize or something.
I know. Social media is one of my favorites.
Yay!
So when did you get on social media, and what was the very first social media site that you were on?
MySpace was the first.
Way to go!
I mean, we cannot forget about how cool MySpace was. Like, that was just so cool. I mean, the fact that you could create your own background and put in your little song there, it was just great. It was great. But we have evolved since then, so that's a good thing. I guess, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, Facebook. And I think, I remember first getting on Facebook probably around 2006-ish, 2007, somewhere around there. And, and then from there, then some, then Instagram. And actually Instagram is my favorite. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. But I think Instagram's my favorite just because I feel like it's less cluttered than all the other, especially Facebook, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it's because you can't, like, in your feed, you can't share in your feed somebody else's stuff, right? And so it's like you're only seeing content generated by the person that you have chosen to follow.
Yeah, well, or the person that you interact with because of the algorithm. But you can share other people's content by repost,
like a regram.
A regram, yeah, and it has to be a public account. It has to be a business account for you to do that. So you're right in some terms that you're not just automatically, but there's still a number of advertisements.
I like it. I really do, and especially with stories. I haven't done reels or anything like that yet. That's a little bit, and I'm like, I can't learn anything else new, right? I got my plate full.
So. What about TikTok? You're not a TikTok user?
No, my sister was actually talking about TikTok last weekend, and I was like,
so much fun. As much fun as you and your sisters and your niece, like, it is so much fun. Like, I've been trying to bug my nieces and my nephews. They still think I'm crazy, so they're not going to do it. But anybody that will TikTok with me, please let me know. We'll do a live TikTok, because you can do lives on TikTok.
That's so funny. What I've heard though about TikTok is that people have gotten recipes off of there.
You get everything.
Yeah,
everything. So cool. I do feel that TikTok is a more kind place, because it's not all the like, it's every age. It did start young and it ticked up like everything does, because like on Facebook, when they opened up to the college world, from the college world, and then your, grandmother, mother, everybody got on it, and now the youngsters left, right? I only got on Snapchat was to talk to my, back then, 15, 16-year-old niece, nephew, because that's the way they communicated, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it ticks up. And so TikTok now, like I've learned recipes, I've learned cleaning, I've learned how to do dance moves. There's I can't remember her name, Granny something. Following her is hilarious because, she does all the different dances, like you name it. There's something in there for you, no matter what the age, and it becomes addictive. So you just got to be careful. So,
well, you're selling it. I might have to download it right after this.
When did you become a believer in using it for like business?
So when I was at Ursuline Academy, I had the opportunity to attend a social media conference several years in a row. I probably went 4 or 5 years in a row to this particular social media conference. And so it was through that conference that I learned and saw how you could use that for your line of work, your industry, right?
Yeah.
And so they talked a lot about fundraising and, should you advertise your cause? I mean, of course you advertise your cause, but should you fundraise on social media? And kind of the do's and don'ts of that. And, it changed over the years. At first it was like, yeah, no, maybe not. And then it changed after a couple of years. It's like, okay, well, we are seeing that there is a way to, it's not, of course, a major gift ask, but it's a soft ask, and it's more storytelling, right? Like you're putting out your mission, your cause, but you're telling a story. Who are the dollars serving?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was really through that I learned, okay, well, this can work. And I remember they just started scratching the surface on LinkedIn at that conference. And I was like, this thing's never going to last, And of course, look at what it is today. I have found it even more useful as the years go by. I just, and I can't even really like pinpoint what it is other than since it's pretty much strictly business, it takes away all the other distractions. So it's like, okay, well, I want to know, who is this person in their professional life? And you go look at their profile and interact with others there. So I really do like LinkedIn. I think it's huge benefit.
It stepped up. It wasn't, it's something that somebody that I follow, he's a business professional, social media, he built his agency, Gary Vee, shout out, but he has been saying for like 3+ years that LinkedIn is the untapped, and I remember like it's untapped and it's still like, that's the place where you can get more organic reach if you're putting out content, but it's not just to find a job. Well, like, so when I do a presentation, and speak to people, or they ask me, where should we be? I'm like, LinkedIn. Well, why? Well, and it's not about just, it's about connecting. It's about sharing your knowledge, and hence why we go live to LinkedIn, right? That's the point, is that they're hungry for content. And I remember when we sold, and my LinkedIn had I hadn't looked at it in forever. And so there were, requests for like probably 100 requests that I had not, and now it's grown from just the podcast that I did after we sold, and the second podcast. And then it slowly has, and meeting people that I've never met in person, but that I have a conversation with, or then have a phone conversation with, after a live, or after something happens, or after a conference, and get business from. It is a way that I know salespeople network and stock, unfortunately, since they're not stalking on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do get a little frustrated because I feel some of the older generation that doesn't understand the apps of the dating world think that LinkedIn can be a dating app, and it's not. And that's very offensive. Just putting it out there. It's offensive to me. I mean, if someone, sends out to someone else and they connect, whatever, that's great. But, messages to me that way just really offend me.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Noted.
Well, I mean,
that's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, it happens to people, both men and women, they're just, so it's, it's evolving, but good for you for remembering Facebook, because when I always forget about, they started at the same time, Facebook, or like 6 months apart, right? And Facebook
and MySpace, you mean?
Yeah, MySpace, MySpace is still around, just used differently. And obviously they did everybody's account that had a Hotmail like mine. I had Hotmail back then and got rid of it and went to Gmail, right? So
yeah. No, I love it. You got to remember the old stuff, right? Old stuff.
Absolutely, for sure. Because then that makes us appreciate.
For sure. For sure.
instead of going backwards. So let's get to our next question in our pinwheel fun. Technology.
Technology. All right.
Yes. So I know you kind of hinted on it a little bit when you were talking about apps, but what technology during this time has made it easier to do your job in the nonprofit world? Because I know that they're totally, I mean, besides the Zoom, of course.
Right. The Zoom, absolutely.
The Zoom.
No, I think, so when I was at Cafe Momentum, we did a database conversion. And so we moved over to it's a Blackbaud is the company. So it's a Blackbaud product. And the database platform that we bought into was Razor's Edge and XT. And so Ursuline was getting ready to convert to Razor's Edge and XT right before I left. So I had done all the training, but they hadn't converted by the time that I left. So went through that conversion at Cafe Momentum. And then, it was kind of in my mind of like, well, the next place I go to has to have Razor's Edge, because I've kind of seen just a little bit of it, and now I want to dig in. And so University of Dallas, it does use Razor's Edge. I think they've only been using it for a short while though. But it's really a place to track all of your activity. And kind of the running joke is if it's not in Razor's Edge, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so any conversations and anything like that, you go in and you track all of that for historical purposes. So when I'm not there in 20 years, somebody can go back and see the full story of the supporters' relationship with the institution. So it's been new for me. And so even though we were using it at Cafe Momentum, we had just converted, and those are Cafe Momentum, University of Dallas, two totally different organizations, right? And so two totally different nonprofits, and the size, of course. And so but we weren't using it in the way that University of Dallas is using it. And so I've had to learn a lot about how to use it and how to track and all of that. And it's good. I mean, I like it. I think I'm giving them a huge shout out here. But I think that they're a great product. I'm a huge fan. So that's one piece of technology. And I had to learn, even with the database conversion at Cafe Momentum, I was the one responsible for that. So I kind of had to learn all the back end stuff of transferring all that data from our previous database into Razor's Edge. And I felt like a database administrator there for a little while, but it was good because I had the opportunity to learn kind of all the ins and outs of it. So it's been a good transition.
Yeah, I don't miss the CRMs of the sales world.
Right.
Like you were saying, Salesforce was one of the last ones that we used, and it, like they used to say, if it's not in Salesforce, it didn't exist. We used a lot of the startups because they were a lot more affordable, and they're getting bought up now, but they're still good. My biggest thing is that if they all connect, I don't care what it is, it all has to connect with everything else you're using, because that's the biggest selling point for Salesforce, is that they do have that open API. But they don't make it affordable for the smaller businesses or nonprofits, I'm sure. I mean, I don't even know what, but there's always a hole in the market when, like say a nonprofit, like, I don't know, did you use a CRM at the Hispanic Chamber?
We did. I know that we were using one. I can't remember what it's called, but then we did it all. We did the same thing. We converted to a new one called Remember. I think it was called Remember.
Okay.
It had the word member in it, and we were a membership organization. That was kind of their thing. But I mean, I don't even know if they're still around, but I kind of remember going through the training for all of that, because we had to, track all of our members, obviously. And so started that way back in 1999.
That was when your brain could absorb all that, right? When it was definitely easier.
Exactly.
What other, I mean, we were kind of talking offline, but what other like apps are you seeing for, charitable? I thought it was very interesting that the one of the fundraisers that you sent, me during a giving, Tuesday or that month last year, that it was, or this past 2020, that it asked me, can a portion of your donation go to what,
Right.
can 1% go to operations? I had never seen that before. And
Yeah.
I knew that there are organizations that will say, hey, all this, what money you give goes towards the cause. And then we have like Charity Water, they have a totally separate raise for their operations, because there is a cost to being able to,
Sure.
run a nonprofit that people don't understand, thanks to old ways of doing, back in the day. But what are you seeing with that? Like, what app was that, or what platform? Because I thought that was
yeah. No, I really like that one too. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I really appreciated that that platform. It's called Funraise, Funraise, and it, whenever I'm told, hey, we're going to start using this new product. I mean, how do you feel when that? It's like, no, I don't want to learn anything new. I mean, it's like, it's just one more thing to add on top. We were adding on Razor's Edge, and then it was like, we're going to add on Funraise. But honestly, I was so impressed with Funraise. Just all their capabilities. And, I think the biggest thing there was peer-to-peer fundraising. So like what I sent you, it was a page that I had created anybody could have done it. We had all of our staff members create their own pages. Some of our board members created it. And then just some of our biggest supporters decided to go ahead and create their page. But then at that point, they can share it with their network, right? So then they can go share it with their friends and family and say, hey, I'm raising money on behalf of whatever organization.
I like that.
And so they give you, it's very user friendly. They give you all those options in there of, adding, I guess on the back end of adding that percentage to go towards operations. To make it in honor or memory of somebody. But yeah, Funraise is the product. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
Well, we have a question from Deborah. She says, what CRM are you all talking about, or what we were talking about a few minutes? She said, sorry, I'm late to the class, but she's asking, so I wanted to make sure that you repeat because I got one of them down. Maybe I didn't. I know you talked about two. You went from the first one that you had to transfer when you were at.
Yes, we were in Salesforce when I got to Cafe Momentum, and then we converted to Razor's Edge NXT, which is a Blackbaud. Yeah, it's a Blackbaud product.
Okay, got it.
And they have different products depending on, the size of your organization, or, if you're like, I think there's one specifically for churches and kind of some other segments there. But yeah, Razor's Edge.
Okay. Well, good. Because that helps me not have to go back and Veronica, if you have any questions, Deborah, she's very fluent in those, and she can give you some insight and feedback.
Happy to, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a great. You could do probably your own little live on each of the technologies that you have to go through, and any of the headaches, the hurdles. I don't want to call them headaches, but the hurdles you might be, that might be out there for people that don't realize it, right? So, okay, we have we're going on we got one more question left. Let me go back to one more category. I think because there's just one. We already did that one, so that's the problem. It might just be I tell you we're doing marketing. If it doesn't hit, look, it's marketing. It heard me. Okay. Oh, we got to move that. Marketing. Okay. So what advertising how do you see marketing changing, or advertising, if you marketing advertising in the nonprofit world? I'm going to make that one pretty, because you're my first. I do actually have another nonprofit person that's coming in next month. Shout out to Blaze Little Larry, or him and his wife. But yeah, so what are you seeing in that realm?
So I think for this question, I'll have to speak to my time at Cafe Momentum, because I think it's one of those organizations, like at University of Dallas, we're not really doing as much marketing or advertising, so to speak, right? As it relates to fundraising. So I'll kind of think about my time at Cafe Momentum, and what I was really impressed with there, even before I started working there, was their social media and how they told the story, the story of their mission through social media. They talked about the interns working there. I guess I should have mentioned that Cafe Momentum, or what Cafe Momentum does. It's a nonprofit that offers a 12-month paid internship to teenagers coming out of the juvenile justice system.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a restaurant, and the interns work through all aspects of the restaurant.
Y'all made it on nightly news, so
yeah.
Kudos to whoever's doing your PR.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. So they're getting a lot of press, a lot of publicity, and it's a great mission. It's a mission that everybody wants to champion. And so what I've seen, I guess the changes, I'm trying to think of other organizations, but just from what they've had to go through as far as even just this year, right? Like talking about how they had shifted through 2020 and all the changes that have come about. So really putting that out there and showing that story on Facebook, on Instagram, through through emails. Of course, email is still a big tool for nonprofits and how we get the word out, because not everybody's following your social media account. So you still have to put those emails out there, and they are still effective. I mean, we saw a great return in a lot of the email campaigns that we were putting together.
Yeah, if they're done right, they're absolutely, if they have information that your users that are, have your subscribers, people that have signed up to get that email, they're going to open it, right?
Right, right.
You're not
there's this event or entity, I guess, called the Big Give, and it's kind of a collaboration of professionals in the industry. So whether it be advertising, marketing, storytelling, and they come together for one day to help nonprofit organizations. And so they sit with you and kind of go through what you are doing now versus what you could be doing and how can we help you. So we did that in 2019. And they talked to us about doing a drip campaign, for our emails. And just when somebody signs up, we're going to bam, 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 send them these 6 emails. It's like, well, great, because we're not doing that. So that's a good place to start. And, I've seen that from other organizations getting their emails. And it's great because it's like, okay, first we're going to tell them the story. Then we're going to tell them, kind of a little bit more background of this particular program. And, that you're putting your asks in there, you're kind of weaving those in and telling them how they can get involved. So I think it's, I don't know. I think that there is something to be said for a good old fashioned email campaign,
Yeah. Well, and I think that marketing in general, if you use the content, like I look at if Cafe Momentum had a great social media presence, then you can even, because more people want it to be authentic and they want to see behind the scenes, that's the reason why, TikTok and Instagram Reels and everything else is, so, the user demands that easy access, right? The on demand. So using that content to be able to use it, whether it's in a print ad or which whoever does print ads, but like, or you're going to do it, for a banner ad or for your social media ads, or if you happen to get on the news, right? Like all of it is good content to save and repurpose if you have pillar content like this. Or if you've got a good presence on social media, then you can, get your followers, getting engaged with your followers. I feel that, definitely marketing has changed in that realm where, getting the engagement from the audience or from your whoever your customer will or your donor is, that's important.
Right. I mean, and I think because ultimately, the big win is when you can get those your followers on social media to then share your content, and so then they're distributing it to their networks and your network's just growing. So we did see a lot of that with at Cafe Momentum.
Yeah. Well, they definitely did a great job. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, is this you, Veronica? Take a picture. She's like, no, I'm actually out of town. I'm like, oh, okay. Because that was awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
That was a good day for Cafe Momentum.
I mean, the shout out to the apartment AAGD, which is the Apartment of Greater Dallas Association. They partnered with Cafe Momentum as well. So I had already known about the organization as well as I was like, oh, my friend Veronica works there, right? But it definitely, when it's seeing them on the news and all that coming together, it's one thing to see it on somebody's title. It's another thing to see it in an email because the organization you work with works with them. And then you see it on the nightly news. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's stop. Let's hear more about this. And I feel a lot of people, they forget about that, right? You have to constantly put the information wherever people will see it, and
Right.
you don't always get that opportunity to get on the news because it's so, like advertising on television is just not really,
Sure.
Yeah. So, and there's different ways to advertise now. Like you can advertise within an app. You don't necessarily, you could advertise, on Hulu, on Netflix, on, YouTube TV. A lot of people forget about those places. And, because it's not all about quote unquote your broadcast television, so
Right.
I always have to remind people, really think outside the box when you're trying to get creative. And those places are a lot less expensive, per eyeball, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe not up front, but per eyeball.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's way less than a broadcast. Because I did have a television at one time. Remember, a television show at one time.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, and after it took 150,000, it cost 150,000, and we only made 80,000 average. Yeah, so I quickly moved to only online.
Yeah. Wait, that wasn't an was that the kind of the home, or not the home, but like the
it was called ABT Living, TV. That was not right before, but it was definitely before Google bought YouTube. YouTube and Google were both around, but that was the last.
Because if you remember, Janet came and did kind of like a redo of my apartment.
Oh yeah, when we did, because we were doing make the most of your space. Yes. It was because we had a designer on there who was doing stuff. Yes, I do remember. Oh, that's right. Jefferson, right?
I have a video of that, like kind of the little segment. So I'll go back and watch that, and I'm like, gosh, I was not ready for TV. And so I'm sure like in 20 years, I'll go back and watch this and say, okay, Kim, we got to redo it.
Well, hopefully you won't wait 20 years to come back on and share more knowledge of your nonprofit world once you get a little bit more into your world at the University of Dallas, because more people need to understand, the whys that, both, whether it's a nonprofit that you worked for, like the one, or one that you haven't, like the one I'm going to big shout out to, Do As We Do Foundation, or why, you went to, the University of Dallas, and what those differences are, right? And going from, it's definitely truly, for me, startup to nonprofit. I wasn't trying to do with that. I just felt God and the universe was pulling me in that direction to help, the next unpaid caregivers of the world. And when you said you knew exactly what you wanted to do by going along in your career path, and good for you realizing that, because it takes a lot of, different paths to lead us back to where we truly should be, right?
It really does. And I mean, even in development, there are just so many different paths within development that you can take, and so just kind of figuring out what speaks to you, where do you thrive, and where do you find the most joy?
So. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Well, I really, really appreciate you joining me today on Kind Kids. Tell the guests a little bit about, how they can connect with you, and,
Sure. Okay, good deal. Well, I like I said, I'm kind of on all the platforms except for TikTok, coming soon. But on Facebook and LinkedIn, Veronica Moreno, again, University of Dallas. And I have a personal Instagram account, and my handle is Venom80, VENOM80.
What?
It was kind of a play on my initials, because my middle initial is N, so VNM. Everybody's like, what does Venom mean? I'm like, it's really just a play on my initials. So there's not some bigger story there. But yeah, I love Instagram, and I'd love to engage with anybody and everybody on any platform, but please check me out.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. Yes. And if you're watching on the replay, make sure you tell us where you're watching from. Thank you, Deborah, and others that have joined us, ask questions. I will definitely put that answer of the CRM for Deborah in the comments, and let us know what topic we answered the best for you, or if there's another topic that you'd like us to cover. If I need to add another category in the spin wheel. Of course, it all depends on the guest. And yes, if you'd like to be on Kind Kids, please message me, DM, send courier pigeons, whatever. If you're kind and you can have that, join us with that kind conversation and keep it kind, then we want you to share your experience with us. So thank you again. And until next week, remember, sharing is caring. Bye, you all. Thank you.